Kristen Oaks-White.
And I'm Avery Davidson. Thank you for joining us for This Week in Louisiana Agriculture, the only TV show bringing Louisiana farmers and consumers together every week.
Well, it's been almost 6 weeks since Russia invaded Ukraine. The situation has taken a grim turn, with accusations and pictures showing execution of citizens by Russian forces.
Since the invasion, the world has responded to caring for the immediate needs of the people there with both military and other supplies. Among them has been a shipment of rice from the U.S. and in particular, Louisiana. Kennedy Rice Mill in Mer Rouge, along with other U.S. and European partners, donated this rice to fill a truck in Holland in late March. The rice is headed for the city of Kharkiv. It's less than 20 miles from the Russian border. The driver, pictured on the left, drove to Holland and then back to Ukraine on March 24th. Megasnob, the company in Kharkiv that is normally a customer of U.S. rice, said the donation will be used for charities operating to get food to everyone. Merrill Kennedy Farr says Kennedy Rice Mill is proud to have participated in helping the people of Ukraine.
You know, when my friend reached out to me in the industry and said, "Would you like to be part of this?" I immediately said yes. I think most people in the United States are concerned about the escalating situation between Russia and Ukraine, but most of all, the humanitarian aspect of this. I don't think any of us can really understand what it's like to be at war on your own home turf, right, in your home country. And so my heart pours out to Ukrainian people, and I'm just really proud that we can support them. And most of all, with a product like rice, right, that is shelf stable. They can cook. This is a staple for many of the world. So super proud of the project, and it was an easy answer, to be honest.
She added that future donations of rice are possible and will continue to work with their partners to help in any way they can. Now, closer to home, rice planting is almost done here in Louisiana.
While the markets are up because of the Ukrainian invasion, so are costs. TWILA's Neil Melanson travels to Eunice, where farmers are seeing their crops grow and their profit margins shrink.
Rice planting is taking off across South Louisiana. This aerial applicator is putting down the last of the seed in fields near Eunice. In fact, about a third of the planted crop is coming up already. Kim Fry, a rice farmer in Mawada, says it's looking good so far.
They just came out within the last week to 10 days, probably. So it's all part of the growth cycle, but when you get warm weather and the moisture is correct, then these plants tend to grow a lot faster.
In the next door field, Fry's neighbor Barry Lacoste is getting some of the last of the dirt work done. He and Kim have a lot to talk about these days, especially the price of fuel, fertilizer, and chemicals. Fry says year over year, the cost is up about 30%.
Right now, it's costing us, at least it will cost you over $1,000 per acre to produce an acre of rice, and just depending on how tight you can be with that, at least $1,000 an acre right now.
And what was it last year?
Last year you were in there at 700 to maybe 750, something to that degree.
In Crowley, rice marketing specialist Mark Tall has been watching the prices. They've gone up with the rest of the grains thus far, thanks in part to the war in Ukraine.
Well, the Ukrainian situation, really surprised everybody, number one. Nobody was expecting Russia to go into war with Ukraine. But it really did help the rice prices going forward. Naturally, when you do see things like that happen, what they call discontinuous events, it does make the market a healthy market, unfortunately.
As the planes are coming in for another round of seed, many rice farmers are wondering if they'll be around for another year next year. Even with the high prices, the high costs are squeezing the profit margins and the farmers that face them at a time when food insecurity is increasing in the world.
Backing out at the moment, no, but wondering and trying to plan as to how we're going to pay this year out. This is the big issue. We don't know what the rice crop looks decent, as you can see, but we don't know how this is going to truly play out. We don't know where prices are going to end up. We don't know if we'll get a hurricane to hamper things. We just don't know. There's so many unknowns. Right now, nobody is saying they're getting out. This is it. I'm finished. I'm done. But that could be a result if our prices don't increase. I think the whole key to it is our pricing.
Rice planting in Louisiana is about 3/4 done right now, and at a little over a third emerging, just like you saw in the video. Now, you may have also noticed some John Deere tractors in that video and on Kim's hat. That's no coincidence. He does like those green machines. In fact, Kim Fry even built a special room in his house for his collection of toy John Deeres. He has a collection of about 200 tractors, combines, and implements of them, including some old models. There's even more toys in storage because the grandchildren have gotten a little too hands-on with the ones he's left out. Of all the tractors he has, one has a special memory related to a boy with muscular dystrophy who shared Kim's love of John Deere tractors.
This particular model right here was given to all of the dealers in the U.S. who went to Denver, Colorado, to see this tractor put out the first year in 1988. And many years later, we enjoyed taking a young man from Eunice that loved John Deere's until the day that he passed away. He was just an avid deer collector and would ride and drive, and they just did a tremendous job of showing him tractors, and they gave him one of these, and one of the bosses sent me this, and because we had taken him up there, and I appreciate that so much because it's truly. I had one that was just a year older than this, so it sticks to mind when you think about the meaning behind it.
I want to thank Kim Fry again for letting me into his house to see it. It was so cool to see that collection. By the way, Kim even has a John Deere themed mailbox. And guys, as fun as that was to see, you know, these guys in Southwest Louisiana are just going through some tough times right now. And of course that price is eked up, but as you heard in the package, when you go from $700 or $750 per acre to $1,000, you got to make up a lot of that in price. I mean, and then it's just one more year on top of a lot of tough years for the rice industry.
And then you add on to that the fact that they have to pay for all the water they put on there. If they still have diesel pumps, I mean, that's another expense right there. I mean, a lot have gone to electric.
Right.
But those diesel pumps still take a lot of fuel, and with prices being what they are,
yeah,
that's tough, man.
It is tough. And I mean, whether they're running tractors or whether they're running aerial applicators, that's more fuel. I mean, these expenses just add up and up and up. And I really think that if we're going to support farmers, we probably need to start thinking about offsetting some of these costs that they're facing.
Because it's across the board. It's not just rice. It's every commodity right now.
Yeah.
And it's a great story. Thanks for bringing it to our attention, Neil Melanson. Well, rice is not the only crop that's going into the ground right now. Louisiana's corn crop is about 80% in the ground, and soybean planting has just begun, with only 5% planted so far.
That's according to the USDA Crop Progress Report. Those two crops, corn and soybeans, account for more than 1.6 million acres in Louisiana. However, as TWILA's Carl Wiggers shows us, input costs are really making the decision about which crop to plant a tough one this year.
Ahead of this spring, a lot of farmers like Philip Tomlinson have been really crunching numbers. Over the past few months, that's been even tougher with such volatility in the markets and the increased price of inputs.
The challenge for us is that it's going to cost close to $100 an acre more to grow a soybean crop this year than it did last year. When you look at the real world economics of that, that's, you know, $13 soybeans, $100 an acre to grow the crop. That's what, 6-7 bushels to an acre more that we need the crop to produce to make money this year.
According to Tomlinson's retailer, Hall Schneider, that increase is coming from fertilizer and herbicides.
We've seen fertilizer prices go from 200 to 300% higher across, you know, the different fertilizers that we use. We've seen chemicals go up, some 3 to 4 times higher than we used last year. It makes it tough to make a decision on what you're going to plant.
For Tomlinson, the decision is made. He is not planting any corn this year. While he's feeling the strain on his farm, Tomlinson knows that he is not alone.
It's no different for me than it is for you or anybody else. I mean, we're all at the mercy of everything that's happened for the last 2 years. The average consumer is paying more at the gas pump, they're paying more at the grocery store, they're paying more at the doctor's office because of inflation and all these other factors. And it's the same way in agriculture and on the farm.
In Lake Providence, I'm Carl Wiggers for This Week in Louisiana Agriculture.
Following the Russian invasion of Ukraine, the markets were extremely volatile. They have leveled out in the last couple of weeks. Most farmers have made all of their decisions of which crop they're planting and are pushing ahead with very little margin for error. We'll certainly pray for a great growing season and a bountiful harvest later this summer and fall.
Well, right, as we showed you earlier, there are a lot of rice fields that are being planted. Why does that matter? Because many of those rice fields are also crawfish ponds.
But don't worry, there's still a lot of crawfish around the state and plenty of chances for you to enjoy some with your friends and family this weekend. Let's check on some prices in a few places you can find some over this weekend. In Winsboro, Clark's Crawdad Hole has live crawfish for $3.50 a pound, and you can grab some boiled crawfish for $5.49 a pound.
Our friends at Tony's Seafood here in Baton Rouge have crawfish for $3.89 a pound for live and $5.19 a pound for boiled crawfish.
In Lake Charles, you can swing by the Hut for some great prices. Live crawfish, $2.75 a pound live, or you can get them boiled for $4.99 a pound.
As we remind you every week, call before you head out to check prices because they can certainly change day to day. Also, always eat Louisiana crawfish. Our friends at the Louisiana Crawfish Promotion and Research Board have the best way to know for sure. Ask before you eat.
Now, children often have lots of questions when it comes to agriculture, like where did these crawfish come from? That's where the Louisiana Ag in the Classroom program comes in.
It provides materials teachers can use in all subjects and incorporates agriculture into the lessons. That's something very important to Haley Broussard, who teaches at Dozier Elementary School in Vermilion Parish. She's the 2022 Ag in the Classroom Teacher of the Year.
There's good, clean fun going on in Haley Broussard's second grade class at Dozier Elementary in Erath.
Class. Yes.
Broussard is teaching her students how to make soap, and what they're using, they grew themselves. Rosemary and lavender in an aquaponics garden. Plus, these students are going to market that soap to other teachers and students.
I bet you can use that on your poster when you're persuading the faculty to buy it. Warm and fresh soap. That sounds good, right?
It's one of the many ways Broussard incorporates agriculture into her daily lessons.
So I was born and raised on a sugarcane farm south of Erath. And of course, being a farmer's daughter, I kind of see the hard work that goes into providing food for, families in America.
That's the source of her passion for agriculture and her knowledge about the source of her food and fiber.
And I thought that was something that everybody knew, but it wasn't until I started teaching that I realized, well, people really don't know where their food comes from. They see that tractor in the field, but they don't really know what it's doing, or they see that loaded down cane truck going to the mill, but it's a bother to them because it's an inconvenience, it's in their way. But they don't really understand what they're doing. They're providing food for you.
That's why Broussard prepares hands-on activities like making soap for her students to learn about all aspects of agriculture from cultivation to marketing. Her superintendent sees the benefit.
So the experiences that Haley gives them in the classroom are things that they're going to go home and they're going to try at home, and they're going to go practice at home, and they're going to tell somebody about it. Kids aren't going home and tell Mom, I learned how to add today, but they're going home and tell her, hey, we planted this. We saw the crawfish grow. Kids are going to remember and do those things. The hands-on experiences are definitely the things kids are going to remember.
We have a bunch of cool things.
In the school garden, the children grow the usual produce you'd expect to find.
What's going to come out of that flower?
A bell pepper.
Another bell pepper is going to come from that flower.
But Broussard also works with local farmers to grow commodities in the garden, like sugarcane.
It starts off in the mother cane, and then you have these eyes, and it starts growing from these eyes into this cane.
They also grow rice and crawfish.
We have Mr. Mark Shirley, who's involved with our rice. So he comes onto campus, he comes onto campus and he helped them plant rice. And as you saw the bee that just flew by me, we learned about insects. So we go on explorations through the garden and they find insects that are growing. And that was something that was also covered in our life cycles unit.
It's for all of those reasons that Haley Broussard is the 2022 Louisiana Ag in the Classroom Teacher of the Year.
What Haley did such a great job with is she really incorporates agriculture throughout her entire school year. We've seen the vegetable gardens, and a lot of teachers will do 1 or 2 activities, which is great, but Haley really incorporated it throughout all of her lessons, and she covers such a wide range other than just producing an actual commodity.
That is a very huge honor. I take pride in agriculture, and once again, a lot of that comes from my upbringing. I know the importance of it, and so to be recognized Yeah, definitely speechless. And then I kind of said, well, this is kind of my chance to encourage other educators to get involved, because a lot of us say, well, we don't have time for that, we can't do that, you know, how are we going to fit this into our curriculums? But it's so easy. All you have to do is just ask.
She really is a great teacher. For being named the Ag in the Classroom Teacher of the Year, Broussard received a check for $500, an iPad, and her expenses covered to attend the National Ag in the Classroom Conference June 28th through July 1st in Saratoga Springs, New York. And I mean, it's always cool to go and do these stories, hang out at this school. And actually, the cool thing is, this is the school where my first cousin Pam teaches.
Oh, okay.
So I got to see her and hug her, and come to find out, the reason why Haley got the job over there was because my cousin Pam had retired and then came back.
Well, it's always great to see them incorporating ag and working with the kids.
It's
in
awesome.
The videos. Love those.
Well, still to come on TWILA, spring has sprung in Louisiana, and we take a look at nature's beauty.
But first, his voice brings news to farmers and ranchers every day. Find out why Don Molino is worthy of the Louisiana Agriculture Hall of Distinction.
There are more than 20 affiliates on the Voice of Louisiana Agriculture Radio Network, and one voice has been there for more than 30 years.
Don Molino is now a member of the Louisiana Agriculture Hall of Distinction. Craig Gautreaux shows us Molino's unlikely path to become a senior farm broadcaster.
Don Molino, the Voice of Louisiana Agriculture Radio Network Studios, powered by Louisiana.
For Don Molino, radio was virtually his destiny. His broadcasting career started nearly 60 years ago at a small East Texas radio station during his high school days.
Beer before old past high, bring on the scotch and bring on the rye. I don't know why the teachers let us sing it, but they did at assemblies. All you say it's a PHS. We're out on the drunk again. So it was 500-watt daytime station in Paris, Texas. That was owned by my mother's. And I worked there for, well, I guess I got out of high school. And then I started college and got a radio station in Greenville, Texas, just down the road while I was going to East Texas State. Ladies and gentlemen, hobos and tramps. Cross-eyed mosquitoes and gold-legged ants. Goodbye to Texas University. I was extremely lucky because when I was 18, 19, 20 years old, I found what I was going to do with my life. I was going to be in radio news, and this was great.
Molino's career took a detour when Uncle Sam called him in 1969. He went from doing weekday news at a major radio station, weekend sports on Dallas' #1 TV station, to basic training in Washington State. His next destination was up to the Army.
And they sent me to Panama as a basic trainee with no MOS. They could have sent me to the infantry, the mechanized infantry, artillery. I could have gone to the Green Berets, any place they wanted to send me, but I got shipped to the radio TV station, the Southern Command Network. Well, lo and behold, they put me on television. So I ended up doing radio and television news in the Panama Canal Zone for 1 year, 8 months and 8 days. Who was counting?
After a stop in Mississippi, Molino made his way to the Louisiana Radio Network as an operations manager. When the farm broadcaster position opened up, Molino took a leap of faith.
A chance opened up to do farm news on the Louisiana Network. And I grabbed at it. This is even better than I thought. I started meeting people and learning things that I'd never dreamed of. Some of the finest people that I've ever met in this world were involved in Louisiana agriculture. And reporting on what they did and how they did it and how they survived still to this day floors me. March 17 3/4 of 30.
Working with the agricultural community is an eye-opening experience for Molino. He will admit when he started his radio career, he knew little about farm commodities. Now he has the utmost respect for the men and women who farm.
How somebody can gamble their entire future on something that's controlled by the weather and the Chicago Board of Trade. I don't have that kind of courage. How do you do that day after day? They're just amazing people, and they feed the world. March Reed at Chicago, 926-50. I'm Don Molino, the voice of Louisiana Agriculture Radio Network.
Radio has changed drastically over the course of Molino's career. Much of it is now consolidated and owned by corporations, and these entities are not focused on the needs of agriculture. But Molino and his employer still see it as essential.
And management of the Louisiana Radio Network has always been committed to providing agricultural news and information. It's vital to a part of the state. Agriculture is the largest industry in this state. So we feel like it's an audience we need to serve.
Don Molino and radio broadcasting have been intertwined nearly his entire life. From a small East Texas AM station to being named National Farm Broadcaster of the Year, Molino has seen the ebbs and flows of radio because of his front row seat. And now he has a spot in Louisiana Agriculture Hall of Distinction.
I am thrilled. I never in my wildest dreams in 1964 thought that I would be doing farm broadcasts for over 30 years. It doesn't compute. I don't belong on that wall, but I am extremely humble to be up there, believe me. And yeah, this is the highlight of my career. This is it, and I'm very happy.
Molino was inducted into the Louisiana Agriculture Hall of Distinction last month, along with retired Louisiana Farm Bureau Assistant to the President, Jim Monroe, and LSUA Chancellor Paul Carell. We'll share Carell's story on our next show.
Well, still to come on TWILA, the rite of spring. Stay with us.
Nature's first green is gold, her hardest hue to hold. And every spring I grew up hearing my mother recite these very lines from Robert Frost. And it's true, each spring, as you notice, the leaves turn golden just for a moment before they become green. And that's why this is always my favorite time of year.
Mine too, minus the pollen.
Well,
if I could do away with the pollen, however.
There's just so much possibility, and you think things, especially in the garden, plants that you think are dead.
Mm-hmm.
You see the buds come back, and it's my favorite time of year.
It is wonderful. And next weekend is Easter Sunday, so we'll be spending that time with our families. We hope you do the same. In this week's TWILA Boost, we're closing out the show with some of the beautiful sights and sounds of springtime in Louisiana.